Welcome to Gems of Knowledge with your host David Bellman and Justin Krall. Each week, our experts will answer all of your jewelry questions with Rachel Putney, our social media maven, who will relay your questions to our experts. And now, here's your host, David Bellman.
Hi, this is David Bellman. Welcome to another episode of Gems of Knowledge. Today we're very honored because we've been selected for an article in New Hampshire Business Magazine, and we have Scott, who's reporting for the magazine, coming in live via Skype from Long Island, as they say. So Scott, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, David.
It's a real pleasure, and of course we've already introduced you, but we'll do it again anyway. This is the lovely Rachel.
Hello, how are you?
And of course, Justin, our antiques expert.
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
And actually, you can ask Justin any questions about space or space technology or computers, because he's also an expert in that field as well.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, Dave, who says Long Island like that?
Long Island? They don't say Long Island. That's not.
It's interesting because everyone from New England was saying that's what people would say down here, and that really hasn't been the case so far. So.
I probably saw it on some TV show, and that's everybody does it like that. Well, that's good to know, see? So, it's a real pleasure to have you on, and we're very excited about seeing the upcoming article. I heard it was going to be close to 30 to 40 pages, so why don't you go ahead and ask? But no, seriously, what have you thought of the experience so far and what you've learned about what we're doing here? I'm asking him questions. This is good.
As you and I have talked about, David, I didn't know a lot about what you were doing going into the interview, but getting to know a little bit of how you've essentially added a whole different arm to your business. Bellman Jewelers has been in operation in Manchester for decades now, and you've essentially taken a leap into a new direction, and I think it's fascinating what you've been able to do, especially in the relatively short time frame you've been running the show.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. We've done maybe, what would you say, like 12 to 15 episodes at this point, and the response from people who have seen the episodes, we're trying to get the word out there what we're doing, but so far it's going pretty well. But the feedback that we're getting from people and the information that we're providing, seems to be resonating with consumers who are out there trying to find out information about an industry that's pretty much a blind industry, has been forever. You walk into a jewelry store, you really don't know what you're buying, and you're hoping that the person that you're talking to and who you're going to be ultimately buying your jewelry from, quite honestly, is being honest with you, right?
All right. I don't know of any other jewelers who are doing this, so it's pretty cool.
It is. It's obviously to that jeweler's advantage to keep the customer somewhat in the dark.
Right.
That's kind of been our experience. And when people come in, at least to us anyway, and we give them all this information, they're pretty interested about that and pretty excited that we're being open and transparent. I love that word. That's the new catchphrase these days is transparency, and I think that's what we're providing people. But Scott, there's some questions that you could like to ask us regarding our show and what we're doing here with this project.
Yeah. So obviously, during our interview, David, you and I talked a lot about what you wanted to get out of doing the show. But I kind of wanted to get what your co-hosts and what their perspective on why they enjoy being part of the program and what they hope to get out of it.
Yeah.
I'll let Rachel start with that one.
Thanks, Justin. I don't know. I like to be able to sit down and talk about things that I enjoy. So, the antique side of the business, and it's a lot of fun to kind of educate people who are watching and are curious about it all.
Yeah.
Justin?
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say, going back to being transparent, a lot of our reviews that we get have thanked us for educating them.
Right.
And that's so key. When we, sit down with a customer, we try to go over whether we're buying or selling. We try to give them as much information about the piece that they're either selling or they're looking to buy, and educate them about not only what they're buying, but the whole, industry as a whole, and the customers are very thankful for that. And as far as the show goes, I think we're contributing to that in a more general, landscape or whatever you want to call it. But it's educating people, and I think that a lot of people appreciate that, and I enjoy it as well.
I mean, it's pretty surprising to see when people come in and you tell them what they have no idea what it is.
Oh, that's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of buying on this side of the business with Justin, and with what Rachel do is on the buying side. So people will bring in sometimes like a jewelry box full of items, and maybe 80% of it's costume jewelry. They think it's all costume. They don't even know what they have, and then they start picking through it. Show him that.
Yeah,
just as an example,
just a little trinket, okay, that customer brought in. They had no idea. It looks like a cigar or something. So you press the button and a pencil comes out. This was probably made in the Victorian era, like just before the turn of the century. But it's engraved 1921, actually 1918 and 1921. So
really,
yeah, it was in the Art Deco time period. But just a cool thing that nobody would have any idea. I've handed this to so many people, and they're like, "What the heck is that?" And you just
so let me show you.
Yeah.
Well, tell them the best part. It's solid gold.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's European. It's hallmarked. It's stamped 9-karat gold, which is a gold purity that they use in Europe, and it's just a cool piece. So it's another example, like David was talking about. It's something that someone might not understand until you get some experience doing this.
Yeah, you see that in a jewelry box and you think it's worthless because you may not realize it's gold, and of course it doesn't seem to have much of a function until you realize how it works and what it does. And we've had a lot of pieces that have come through that even we've had a hard time figuring out exactly what they were meant to be. One was a martini stir. Was that an item that you had, or is it something I got?
I think that might have been yours.
Yeah, it was a little piece, and you had a slider on it. Looked like just like a thin tube like that, and you slid it open, and then these prongs came out of it, and it was meant to stir drinks.
Right.
But
again, use one of
that.
those.
Who would have known? But anyway, getting back to Scott, we only have a couple of more minutes, but were there any other questions that you'd like to ask us about the show before we have to go into our next segment?
Well, something interesting we had talked about, David, was the fact that a key audience, or one of the key audiences you're trying to reach, are millennials, and we had an interesting dialogue about how millennials are interacting with the jewelry industry, and a lot of times they're blamed for quote unquote killing different industries, but you seem to say that there's no indication that they are buying it differently from other generations. So I guess I wanted to see what your co-host's perspective was on that.
Oh, we just happen to have a millennial on staff. So, Rachel?
So, can you, I'm just trying to figure out where to go from here.
Oh, well, we were just talking about, what the way millennials look at jewelry today, I guess, basically. Are they buying it as much, less, more than, say, the baby boomers or other generations?
No, I don't think millennials are buying jewelry at all. I think the one piece of jewelry that millennials are buying is an engagement ring. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. But as far as antique jewelry and things like that, I don't think millennials really have any idea. And we see it all the time. People will come in and they want to sell it because their kids don't want it and things like that. And because they don't appreciate jewelry as much as the other generations did, which is unfortunate, but
it's true. I mean, we see it all the time that this generation just does not want the things that their parent used to be excited to get something from your grandmother or your parents when they pass it down. Today, the millennials don't want it.
They want
to throw it out. Yeah, they don't want things and trinkets, Scott. They tend to want, to go to a concert. They'd rather go to Europe than, buy a fancy diamond bracelet. That's my experience anyways from the buying end of it. They would rather have a memory or something rather than accumulate things. And that's what I'm getting
And I
from
think
it.
the styles now too. I mean, people are wearing like shoelaces around their neck as a choker necklace.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not buying high quality jewelry. There's just other styles out there that people are leaning more towards.
Right. But I'm looking at it from the retail side. Maybe we should get Alex involved a little bit on this too, from the the retail end, because you're a little bit more on the buying end. I can
Right.
understand them wanting to divest themselves of silverware and antique jewelry. That kind of makes sense to me. But on the other hand, the jewelry industry as a whole keeps growing and growing and growing. And so, is that because the baby boomers have decided that they want to spend more money on jewelry? Or is it because the millennials are buying it, but they're just buying different types of jewelry? For example, the carbide wedding bands and the wedding bands made out of wood and natural materials and things like that. We're still seeing a lot of action on the retail side. So it's just,
Right.
And you have some nice pieces of jewelry that you wear. I mean, you enjoy wearing jewelry.
I do, yes.
Yeah. And I don't, and I would assume that maybe a lot of your friends do as well. Maybe they're not necessarily in a position to be buying fine jewelry at this moment, but I don't know that they necessarily have an aversion to buying it either. But I could be wrong. I'm just trying to understand why the jewelry market in the U.S. grows as much as it does every year.
Well, I think one thing has to do with the population keeps increasing and the price of jewelry is increasing. So from a sales number, perspective, the industry is rising because the dollar value keeps going up. Gold has increased significantly. Everything's going up in price, but I don't know anyone your age coming in to buy a cocktail ring or a necklace.
The style right now
rings,
is
like an
dainty.
engagement ring.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Not a diamond
everyday
suite
jewelry.
or like anything really fancy or anything.
I mean,
just
gold
don't see
chains
it.
I think are always going to be in for the men.
Yep.
And
Have
they
you had a
will come
millennial
in.
customer that's come in and said, I want a diamond suite with a ruby or something?
No. But they're coming in there buying little pieces, again, what they can afford, but little diamond necklaces. I mean, I'm seeing the 20-somethings coming in and we're buying like the Disney jewelry line that's been very popular and the Honora pearls. I mean, there's a lot of things that are selling. They're not necessarily high-priced items, okay?
Right.
But they're not exactly have an aversion, I don't think, to buying jewelry. And maybe, it's because they are so much younger. They're really not in a financial situation with all those student loans.
Student
right?
loans,
I mean,
rent.
we got to be serious about this. But my son and all his friends and everybody I know, kids are out there with a 80, 100, some cases. My son-in-law, $200,000 because he went to law school.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Building up these huge loan portfolios that they have to pay off, and then they want to buy a house, and so you have to make choices too, right? And so, Scott, I hope that helps answer your question.
No, it's interesting. Like I said, you have all these articles on BuzzFeed or whatever about how millennials are, destroying different industries. So I wanted to ask someone, people who are in the industry, their perspective.
Yeah.
And obviously, something else David and I talked about is, going the route of YouTube. You have millennials who often, going along what they can afford, don't have cable. So I thought it was interesting to go the route of YouTube. And I think, are you looking to reach a millennial audience, or what? What is the primary audience you want to reach, and what do you want them to take away from what you're offering?
Well, I think mostly, again, it's educational. As you know, I own Bellman Jewelers, but you'll hardly ever hear me mention it in any of these shows because the idea isn't to promote my jewelry store. The whole point of this is try to educate people about the jewelry industry in general. And of course, the tide hopefully will rise all the ships, right? So, we'll obviously increase our business because of it, but other jewelry stores will too, and the industry overall will be better for it if people can ask the right questions when they go shopping and feel comfortable with the items that they're purchasing and making sure that they're getting good deals. So I think that ultimately is the goal. It's kind of a big goal, but, and we're the only ones doing it, and that's why I wanted to do it, because no one else in the industry is doing it. Someone needs to take the lead on this. And overall, in the long run, I think it'll help us all out, if we can get everyone to be fair and equal and honest about what they're selling.
Right.
I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Well, it never
No.
does in any industry, but certainly,
That'd be nice.
if the consumer doesn't know, then that's their fault. But if the information was available and they couldn't figure it out, but the information that we're giving them isn't really easy to find.
No, it's not.
Even on the internet, you'll find a lot of conflicting information. A lot of it's not true. A lot of it is misleading, and so people can write in, they can call. We've gotten all kinds of questions, excuse me, in the past, where people have called in and asked questions that we've been able to straighten out the answers for them. So that they know that we're a neutral, we're not in the mix of the sale, so we can give them an honest answer about it. That's a pretty cool resource for people.
Sure.
And the nice thing I like about YouTube is it's out there forever, and people can go back and look up certain topics that that they're interested in, and hopefully they're searching topics like sapphires. We did, teaching people how sapphires are heat treated and things like this. Information they would have never received from most jewelers, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think that ultimately is the goal, is to do that, and at the same time have some fun with it too. And we show a lot of items. The second part of this show will be about some really interesting things that come into the store, including that solid gold pencil holder. Who would have thought that someone would want something like that? But there you go. That's fun.
Excellent.
So we enjoyed having you on the show. I'm glad it turned out that we could have you on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I mean, this is a fascinating topic. I'm glad I'm able to write about it, and I appreciate you having me on today.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Speaking of
Nice
which,
to
when
meet you
is
as
the
well.
article going to come out?
I believe this will be in our October issue. I think it's going to be running on our website before that, but I'll give you more details once I speak with Heidi.
Fantastic.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
All
Have a
right.
nice day.
Have a nice day.
Take
All
care.
right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.